I came out 11 years ago today. 11 years ago yesterday. It's the 13th of December today, and I came out on the 12th of December, 2014 for the first time. It wasn't planned at all. I came out to one of my very close friends at the time. I was just talking to her, and there was this guy I was having a big crush on at the time who was kind of in my friendship group, and everyone kind of knew it, and I was just pretending that no one knew it. I ended up coming out to her. I was like, yeah, I kind of have a crush on him, and she was super chill about it. Honestly, I'm very grateful to her about that, because it made the coming out process much more chill. It wasn't some big like, I have to get this big thing off my chest. I think at that time I was very lucky to be surrounded by a lot of people who were very accepting, and also I just moved from being friends with a group of guys because they were kind of bullying me because I think they knew I was gay. And then I'd become friends with these girls who wanted a gay best friend, so it kind of worked out quite well. I mean, that happened, and then when I started kind of dating him, I got outed to the whole school. So that was a whole other situation, so that wasn't that nice. However, in a way, getting outed meant that I didn't have to take that much responsibility over my coming out, so it was a bit less stressful. Kind of leads into a lot of the points that I have here, actually, which I've got written in my little Donkey Kong notebook. Coming out was kind of rough, and I was quite sad that I felt like I was coming out quite late. However, I came out when I was 14, which is really early in the grand scheme of things, and is now 11 years ago. In 3 years, I'll have spent more than half my life being out. However, I've come out a few different times. So, I feel like we should get on to the 11 things I've learned in the 11 years of being gay. God, I've been gay for 11 years. That's crazy. But also correct, living not having come out is a very... I need to stop giving spoilers about what I've written in this book. Okay, 11 things I've learned in 11 years of being gay. Spoilers, if you want to pause it. But you can also wait to see what I have to say. So, number one. Coming out isn't one definitive moment. You actually come out loads of different times. Especially when I was coming out in the beginning, there was no one else who was really queer, and therefore I was kind of the one who was setting that precedent in my school and stuff like that. And therefore people just assumed by default that I wasn't queer. So therefore I kind of had to consistently come out. I heard a lot of people in the beginning say, oh, you have to come out loads of times. You kind of do, but then I very much got to a point, and I think a lot of people get to a point where it's like, it's very clear that you're gay or that you're queer or whatever identity you are. And therefore it's not a super consistent coming out thing. And when people don't realize I'm queer now, I'm like, God, you need to get a grip. But then, number two, this one's actually really important. The label that you start using on yourself in the beginning can be very fluid and change over time. And also, it's just for you. It's not for anyone else. When I first came out, I was bisexual. And then I came out as gay when I was 18. And it felt really important to have those labels at that time to explain what I felt like to other people. I've gone through a lot of different labels now in my time, and I've actually settled on this gay man. Like gay, cisgender man, kind of boring, but kind of tea. But I've kind of come quite settled with them because I understand what it means for me. In a lot of ways, I feel like I'm quite pansexual, and I've also had an era where I thought I was non-binary. But I think that having those different eras has made me much more secure on what I identify as. I'm a gay man because I understand what that means to me. It doesn't mean that my attraction is exclusively to one kind of thing, but it's just a broad thing that makes me feel comfortable in my identity. And also the fact that I've had different eras of identifying as different things has only strengthened my relationship to where I'm at now. So I'm very happy with that. Okay, when you come out, the idea of not being out anymore seems really crazy. I now can't imagine having lived the last 11 years not being out. But also just the fact that I've been out has just been a thing. Like I mean, it's kind of not a thing. I guess that's kind of the whole point, is that it just becomes part of your life. It's just so mad that before I came out, I almost felt like there was an option to not come out. But the thing is you just don't be living your life unless you actually come out. Next one, kind of sad point. A lot of the gay community will often be the most homophobic, and I really did not think this from the outside. From the outside, the gay community is this queer, amazing space where people are super expressive and accepting and kind to each other and stuff like that, and it's actually can very much not be the case. There's a lot of internalized homophobia in the gay community. There's a lot of worship of masculinity, tops, muscled guys, all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people who don't fit within that can be very ostracized from the gay community. I think that's where my next point comes in, which is there's a huge difference between gay and queer. I think queerness is almost like a mindset, and it's a way of approach to life, which is filled with exploration and accepting different people and allowing a fluidity in identity. I think that being gay and being queer is a massive gift because it allows you not to be part of heteronormativity, but a lot of gay people still decide to be part of heteronormativity and really live a very conforming lifestyle. I think that from the outside, and I really remember this, seeing the kind of out there crazy queer people was really hard, because it was like, oh, I don't want to be this different thing that's ostracized from society. But I actually will tell you, and this is a promise, once you get to that point, you're going to be so much more happy with yourself and all the people that surround you and the life that you build for yourself, That's just tea. I'm so glad I'm a weird gay person now. And very much on this point, having a queer community and having queer friends around you will change your life. I dealt with a lot of shame and a lot of internalized homophobia for a long time, and I've realized now that I have a lot of queer friends, just being able to talk about my experiences and my sexual desires and all this kind of stuff has made me so much more accepting of who I am. And being able to see yourself reflected in the world around you is really, really crazy. I was on a reality dating show, I Kissed a Boy, about a year ago now, and that was a point when I was just surrounded by just queer people, kind of for the first time ever, and it was amazing. I really, really miss being there in a lot of ways because of that. But actually, this does kind of lead me on to my next point. Just because somebody is queer doesn't mean that you automatically get on with them. Sometimes you meet queer people and you're like, oh, you're queer, like we should have so much in common, and you just don't. You both like dick. That's kind of the only thing that brings you together. And that's fine. You don't have to get on with every queer person. I felt like I really felt like I really needed to get on with so many queer people up until this point, and it's actually just not tea. There are going to be queer people who you also really vibe with at certain points and because of certain things, and ones that you just absolutely will not. And that's fine. I just know my lips have been looking so crusty throughout all of that. And that kind of leads me to my next point as well. I feel like a lot of these are leading on to next points. But working out your relationship with other queer gays, guys, people who you are sexually compatible with, is a very interesting process. I, for a very long time, kept dating and friendships incredibly separate. And I still do in a lot of ways. I'd kind of notice very quickly if this is someone I want to be friends with or this is someone I want to date. But it can be really difficult to work out these things. Are you romantically interested? Oh, wow. There's like a whole line of geese flying outside the window. But working out your relationship with gays can be hard. Is it romantic? Is it sexual? Is it friendship? Is it all of the ones? I mean, with your ideal boyfriend, you kind of want to have all those things covered. Some gays love hanging out with only people that they find sexually attractive. I personally don't find that super interesting because I like having a diverse array of people in my life. And I often kind of think it's a little bit toxic. If you're one of those gays watching this, I'm sorry, but also it's tea. And I feel like if you did a little bit of introspection, you would know it was tea too. Oh, there's some dogs barking outside. Okay, next point. There's a huge difference between coming out and actually loving and accepting yourself. I think that from the outset, coming out can almost seem like the end of the journey, but it's almost the opposite. I definitely went through so much internalized homophobia after coming out. I feel like I almost dealt with more internalized homophobia after coming out than I did whilst being out. I've had points where I was trying so hard to conform. Okay, this amount of noise around me right now is really annoying me. I have mics to this camera which I've lost. I need to figure out where they are. So I'm sorry if this audio quality isn't that great. This is really breaking the fourth wall. I'm sorry, let me get back to my list. But yeah, just because you've come out doesn't mean that you're actually good with your sexuality. Coming out comes with so much work that you have to consistently do on yourself to feel okay with being queer in a genuine way. And this manifests itself in every different part of your life. I think it's so important to do that work on yourself because it's so easy as a queer person to fall into a life where your decisions are based around overcompensating for feeling insecure about being queer. That sounds really dramatic, but it's such tea. Read The Velvet Rage. It's an amazing book and it is very enlightening on all of this. And you don't come to an endpoint with this. I know that I'm still working it out and I'm the most queer and accepting of being queer that I've ever been, and I'm still dealing with internalized homophobia. It's unfortunately a thing that you don't really get over, you just have to consistently face. And kind of moving into the next point there, you will meet a lot of very damaged queer people. And in fact, the people who look like they've got their shit together the most are often the most damaged. And this damage comes from loads of different places. Internalized homophobia, broken relationships with family, substance abuse, feeling the need to constantly prove themselves. It's a really big thing within the queer community, and I think a lot of people lose a lot of access to their true selves because so much of what their life is based on is healing and hurt and trauma and pain. Unfortunately, a lot of queer people will use that against other queer people, and it will become a thing that divides queer people from each other rather than being put together. And I think that a lot of queer spaces can actually be the most lonely spaces. I really don't agree with that kind of mindset that some queer people have, which is like, queer clubs and are awful. Like, if you're at the club, you're a bad person. I really don't agree with that. Like, queer people can live normal lives, whatever that is. But being queer is really traumatizing. It's also really beautiful. I think that the subverse point to this is that I think that having to come out and go through the trauma of being a queer person is an incredibly huge gift, because a lot of straight people don't really have to face themselves. I think that facing yourself as a queer person allows you to be like, what do I actually want? How do I actually want to express myself? And I think that you see a lot of queer people who are much more out there than a lot of straight people. And I don't think that just comes down to sexuality. It comes down to we've actually spent the time to be introspective. And also, trauma makes you spicy, it makes you fun, makes you hot. So, make it work for you, babes. And final point, and you only really get to learn this once you've come out and once you've been out, I feel like, through a few different stages of being queer, and that is that not being yourself is a full-time job. And this doesn't just apply to queerness, this applies to everything, but I think that it especially applies to coming out, because I don't believe that you can be yourself until you come out. Like, you're living as a shell of the person that you should be. It takes so much energy to project an image that doesn't come naturally to you and to live a life that isn't the life that you should be living. I think that queerness, as I've kind of spoken about in this video, is a gift because it allows you to really, really look into yourself and be like, what do I want to do? How do I want to live my life? How do I want to spend my time? And the more you are able to cultivate a life for yourself that feels natural, the more life will just be easy. It's so much work and so much energy to project something you're not. I'm very, very lucky and very, very privileged that I came out at an early age and I realized who I was at an early age. But even when I was bisexual for a few years, it was exhausting holding up that facade. I didn't like girls. I didn't want to chat girls, even though that's like a whole kind of separate thing in and of itself, because part of me is like, maybe I do. But that's a whole other journey that I might have to be going on. God, maybe I've got to come out as bisexual again. I don't think I'm bisexual. Video for another day. Anyway, I hope that list kind of made sense. Whatever stage you are in your queerness, I hope that it was interesting. I've been out for 11 years. I'm 25 now, turning 26 soon, which is kind of gaggy, but also seems kind of correct. And I'm very excited to see where my queerness journey takes me and where I'll feel when I'm at 12 years. And also when this fucking helicopter has stopped making noise. And if I could actually just leave you with one thing after this video, this is so simple cliche advice, but like, just do you and just be yourself. And whatever you're feeling in the moment, allow yourself to act on that. Don't base your identity based on how you should feel or how you think you'll feel in the future. Whatever desire you have in this moment is fine. If you don't have that desire in a year, a month, a week, a day's time, that's also completely fine. Do you in this moment. It's by far the best way to live your life. And that applies to everything, girl. Anyway, thank you for watching today's video. I plan on making videos every week from now on. I really, really enjoy sitting down yapping. So if you've got any video ideas that you'd like for me to explore, please have a look at them. I am on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts as well. My username on them all currently is Ruben Bodawa. However, I think I'm going to change them back to Rexy Ruben, which is what I used to be. Because Rexy Ruben is more fun than Ruben Bodawa. Ruben Bodawa's a bit taking myself seriously. And I'm a silly babes. So I want Rexy Ruben back. But please subscribe, please turn on notifications, all the YouTuber interacty things that YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah, I hope I see you in the next video.